Welcome, welcome, welcome to the TCAT 10-Minute Take. It is I, your host, Sheree L. Stewart, and with me, as always, is my intrepid co-host, Don, the legend, the soul glow sexual chocolate.
Randy Watson fan club, baby.
Randy Watson fan club.
Yes.
And today, we are talking about coming to America. But before we get started, make sure you click that subscribe button and you click that bell to get all the 10-minute takes as soon as they drop.
Yes.
If I were a better host than I am,
oh no,
I would have this timer already set up.
It's okay.
But I don't, because that's just it. Bees what it do.
It bees what it do. Isn't that right,
Okay.
dog? Yes. All right.
So now she's fully integrated into the show now.
I guess she is now.
Okay. And go.
Boom. Coming to, I always want to say coming to America too, but it's just coming
to America.
Yes. Directed by Craig Brewer and starring, need I say more, Eddie Murphy, Arsenio Hall. I'm going to give Wesley Snipes some credit here. James Earl Jones as well. The excitement for this movie cannot be understated. And I'm just going to speak for me. Because the first is such a classic. It's such almost like a standard amongst Black people. Like, you could just recite lines from the movie and people instantly know what you're talking about. Like, you say Soul Glow Anywhere, they know. They might even start singing the song because they just know. Or if you start singing She's Your Queen, they know. And they might start singing the rest of that song with you. I mean, there's just, like you mentioned, the Royal Bathers. They know what you're talking about. They know the movie. They know the scene. I mean, there's just things from the original that are so ingrained that the second you're just kind of like, well, I said I know it's not going to be as good as the original, but I just want it to just make me laugh, be fun, maybe, have some nods to the original and I'll be okay. And if there's a great story, that'd be wonderful. So let me get with the didn't like part first. I didn't care for the story. I'm like, you really did not need 33 years just for this story because it's basically a rehash of the first. I'm like, you could have gotten a bit more out of the box with this. I'm sorry. I forget the name of the comedian. I think his name is Jermaine something that plays his son. Mm-hmm. Didn't really find him charismatic or really all that funny. Honestly, I thought they should have focused on the daughters. That would have made way more of an interesting dynamic for it to just be about the three daughters. And who knows where you could have taken it, but to me, that should have been the focus, number one. So let me just say, story-wise, that didn't do anything for me. That was the main bad, because obviously, story-wise, it's not really a movie then that you're sort of seeing as a continuation of the first. Because to me, it didn't live up to that. So I sort of put this on the side of this was something just to please the fans after 33 years, to bring them back, to give them something to smile and laugh about. So story-wise, I'm just going to throw it away. Now, what I did like, there were moments that made me laugh. I liked Leslie Jones in it. I liked all of these crazy cameos of famous people that just popped up out of nowhere, even for these brief moments. I thought Wesley Snipes was funny. I enjoyed Tracy Morgan. And again, to me, Leslie Jones stole this movie because she just made me laugh in every scene she was in. Obviously, Arsenio and Eddie are that's who they are. I mean, they're titans, they're icons. I mean, they can be funny in their sleep. I wish some of the characters he brought back, in particular the barbers, I wish there was more time with them like in the 1st one, because I can only imagine what their conversation would, what they'd be arguing about now. I wish that kind of was more, and I could have laughed more at that. I was pleasantly pleased to see Randy Watson. Even the preacher, Arsenio Hall preacher, was back, which made me laugh. I mean, McDowell's was back. I mean, Louis Anderson. Like there's so many nods to that I was able to ignore the story and just appreciate, like, oh, that's back, or this person's back, or they made reference to that, and certain things when they did that made me laugh, and so I was happy for that because it brought back the memories, and I felt good in that way of the nostalgia. Now, in the way as a movie on its own, absolutely not. But I enjoyed that nostalgia, so even after watching it, I was like, I felt good, and I can put this to the side and not think about it anymore. Like, finally I can put away of, are they going to do it again? What will it be like? Will they ever? Okay, they did it, now it's done. And we can now move forward. So I would say, I would have probably have seen this opening night in the movie theater. I would have gone because, I mean, I just had to, you know. Right. The rating I would give it afterwards, probably a 6 from the sheer nostalgia part that they kept bringing in, and there was a couple people that I thought stood out. Story-wise, no, absolutely not. But it made me laugh enough. It reminded me enough of the first movie, or nods to the first, that I said, okay, I got it in me. It made me want to watch the first again. So that's the most I could say. Maybe most people find it disappointing again because of the story, right. But hey,
here's how I feel about it. I feel like this movie did what it was supposed to do, what they aimed to do, what they set out to do. This movie was made for my dad. This movie was made for my uncles. This movie was like, if Coming to America was Eddie Murphy back then, which was like tight and raw and edgy and pushing the envelope and hungry, and Coming to America now is soft and fat and happy and somebody's dad. Like that's how these two movies are. There was not one new joke in this movie. It was all a callback to previous jokes from the first movie. And I'm a huge fan. Like, I'm going to show you my little merch.
Yes.
Like, Coming to America is like a huge part of my childhood, part of our lives. And this movie was like looking through some photo albums and seeing, great so-and-so's nephews, kids look just like great granddaddy Watson or whatever. Like it was like, oh, that's nice. Like this family line has carried through, and it looks like you can see the DNA of the old movie in the new movie, but it's definitely not an innovative new movie.
Right.
With that said, it felt a lot like those Adam Sandler movies that we've been getting on Netflix, where instead of a story, they have a lot of bits and a lot of jokes that they want to tell. And they made these like little segments and then strung them together with a convoluted story, just string all these bits together. Right. It was just like a lot of little bits that they wanted to do. A lot of like these little comedy jokes, these beats they wanted to hit that really, they were like you could tell, like a lot of these people, maybe scheduling, these people are super famous now. Like they couldn't get them all in the same room at the same time. So in that way, it doesn't have the scope and the size. It felt like we were on a set. It didn't feel like we were in New York, like the wide sweeping shots of New York. And I mean, they probably shot it in New York. Oh no, they shot it in Atlanta. And that's why. Like it didn't feel like they were in New York. It didn't feel like they were in any kind of Africa. Like in the palace, even felt like instead of like that big, huge palace with that huge musical number, it felt small. It felt like a set. It felt like a soundstage, which is, I'm not saying it, and it was super clean and sharp and ready to package and put on a streaming service, like it felt like that kind of movie. And that's kind of where we are right now If this had just come out fresh and we didn't have a reference for it, it probably wouldn't do that well. Because, it was very, very soft. It was funny. It had its moments.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely 100% agree with you. The storyline with this random son was shoehorned in an awkward way that wasn't necessary because he had 3 daughters with Lisa. And there was no indication that he had had any relations with anybody other than her. And to do that to him and make him now like this deadbeat dad situation almost tarnishes their love story a little bit, where we didn't need that. It wasn't necessary. It could have been about the oldest daughter who wants to be king. And he now they have, which is what they, wound up circling back to.
Right.
But instead of that being the main story, we had this through line of this unnecessary son who has to, for reasons, has to for no reason, because he doesn't even get to be king. It's right. It didn't matter. He didn't matter, and it wasn't necessary. And I don't know why that's the direction they went in, other than the more organic story they had sitting right there. As he had 3 daughters with Lisa, but women can't be king.
Boom. Right there.
That's the story.
Yeah.
And he wanted to marry, but the marriages are arranged. That was the story. Then we would have had completely different beats, completely new storyline, completely new jokes. Whereas this was an exact retread of the original movie. And it was super weird. Or not weird, unnecessary. And you're right. It didn't have that more organic flowing storyline where, we're in the barbershop and it just felt like a lot of little bits and everybody was doing it. Everything was a cameo.
Yeah.
Every scene was a cameo scene. Every scene was a cameo of an actor you wanted to see or a joke you wanted to retell, instead of how do we tell this story that we need to tell? The story was an afterthought. I think that for me, I would say that it fits squarely where it was on Amazon, a streaming service of some kind. I wouldn't have gone out of my way. I would have gone out of my way to see this in the theater and then been mad about it.
True. Yeah.
So as it is, where it is, fits for me.
Perfectly.
It's perfectly fine. It's a good way to spend a Saturday. You're home with your family. You want to have a watch party with your parents. It's a PG-13 movie, so you don't have to worry about grandma getting upset because there's too much cussing in the movie. It's not going to offend anybody.
Yep.
It might not be as edgy and as hard and as outrageously funny as the original because it's PG-13.
Yeah.
What are they going to do? But it's definitely not horrible.
Sure.
As far as movies that are out right now, things that are coming out, it's watchable. It's just not full price movie ticket watchable.
And like you said, it fits right where it is.
Yeah, and it was made for a specific audience, and I think that it hit that audience just fine. I think that the people who I've seen who like it, who really, really like it, are the people it was intended for. And in that case, what's a successful movie if not a movie that hits its target? So, hey, it did its job.
It did its job. And that's all it has to do. It did its job. And hopefully, we did our jobs. And you know what? We've got more of these coming up. We're also going to be reviewing the end of WandaVision. Coming up this month, though, we also have the Justice League and King Kong vs. Godzilla. But you can see all of our 10-minute takes, including some of our past ones and podcasts, on our website, tcadnetwork.com. You go there. We have links to all of our podcast episodes, all of our 10-minute take episodes, as well as episodes of Good Morning Antioch and The Reading. But while you're here on YouTube, don't remember, hit the bell and click that subscribe. Get them both, because then you will be notified and updated every time we do these. This should be a little bit of a busy kind of month with some good stuff. Hopefully we should be getting back to movie theaters maybe by the middle or end of summer, which will be good. So we've got that coming up. But definitely stay with us, subscribe, bookmark our webpage, tcatnetwork.com, because we have got some more coming up. So till next time, see ya.